Hey, what's up, you guys? This is another Redroom video. Never mind, you can't see the screen. Doesn't matter. Usually, this is a red room. It's an odd one. This red room, usually in the red rooms I talk about how to get into a series. Now, I have done fairly well in school. I've only failed one class. Now, because I was going through a rough time at home a few years ago. But I'm gonna teach you how to be successful. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, you're 15. How do you know what's success? Success, success is like. And my answer to you is, I don't. But I can teach you how to be successful. For now, in our age. Now, one thing that I have found is it doesn't matter how smart you are in school. I'm not that smart. I'm in a few advanced classes, I'm in a few normal classes, average intelligence. But if you plan things correctly, if you plan, then you could be successful easily. Now, I've been planning my schedule all the way back since 8th grade in high school. And I made it so that way I only have to take 2 classes in senior year to graduate. Only have to take 3 in junior year to graduate. And then just 7 this year. Now, you think, why is taking 7 classes gonna make things easier? That's not the point. But how I scheduled is I made it so, I didn't make it. I was accepted into advanced science classes, chemistry. And then, with that, also 1 year advanced math. So, I took chemistry and geometry in freshman year. Now, chemistry was pretty stressful as a freshman. But, the way that I made it, geometry was easy for me. Algebra 2 is easy for me now. I evened out the stress level, so that way I'm not overloading myself this year. I originally did, but I ended up switching out of AP World History. Now, I originally had it so that way I was going to take AP World History, and I just couldn't do that class. It was too stressful for me at the time, because I'm not very good socially. If I know you, I'll talk to you, and I'll be weird. But meeting new people and being forced to talk to them, I do not like that at all. It's very stressful on me. It makes me very anxious. So I switched into the normal world history. So I did it so instead of as much overworking myself, it's more overstressing myself that I worried about. I had moderately stressful freshman year because of chemistry. But because of that, I was able to take biology in sophomore year, which is not very stressful for me. I love biology class. So, because I put chemistry first, I was able to take English, Spanish 2, Advanced Orchestra, uh, 0 Hour Gym, Lifetime Fitness, both semesters, uh, Normal World History, uh, so English World History, um, Algebra 2, Advanced Orchestra, Year 2 Spanish, 0 Hour Gym, and what was the last one? Biology. So I took one more stressful class in sophomore year. Not sophomore year, freshman year. So that way, in sophomore year, I could take that extra 0 Hour Gym class and not have to do as much homework. And I. So it's really good. Like, I almost have no homework because, like, chemistry has a shit ton of homework. Biology doesn't. Algebra 2, eh. World history, eh. My English class is very progressive, so no homework almost. So I am able to take 2 semesters of gym this year, of rigorous exercise, as well as uh, advanced math. So instead of stressing myself out by taking 7 classes, in freshman year I took the most stressful sophomore class. So that way, well, in my opinion, so that way I wouldn't be stressed this year. Now, I only had freshman and sophomore year planned out. But because of just electives that I took when I did, next year to graduate, I only have to take science, English, and history. This is my 3rd year of math. This is my 2nd year of arts. This is my 2nd year of languages. My 2nd year of science. And my 2nd and 3rd credits for gym. So I will not need to do any more gym. I will not need to do any more arts. I will not need to do any more languages. I will not need to do any more math. I will not need to do most of the stuff. Now, here's the thing. I believe I'm still legally required to be there all day. So that gives me a greater chance of doing more, like a 3rd year of languages, a 3rd year of arts, a 4th and 5th year of math. So that way I could be doing, well, I'll probably just stop at calculus. Because, yeah. So, that gives me a wide variety of classes I could do next year. I could take a 2nd language. Like, I could take Japanese for 2 years. I could take another 2 years of math. I could take another 2 years of Spanish. I could take another 2 years of orchestra. There's just so many choices that I have. And I'm just not really stressed out anymore. Just by taking 2 sophomore classes as a freshman, and then taking an extra class as a sophomore, while doing 1 freshman class, I made school a lot less stressful for me. Now, this is just how I wasn't stressed. Now, everybody has different stressful factors in school. English may be stressful for some people, like, some people may not like writing, some people may not like reading, some people may not like history, some people may just not be good at remembering formulas. But I made it so that way I used what skills I had learned, which were just mediocre in everything pretty much, and then just taking a bunch of, like, algebra was really stressful in 8th grade, but that was the year that I was going through some family problems. So 8th grade was more stressful than freshman year because I was like beginning to learn, okay, I've got to start memorizing formulas. I've got to start memorizing things. And so I worked hard on that. I worked hard on writing. I worked hard on reading. So now I worked a buttload extra, and now it's just easy as pie. Like, taking notes, easy. Now, my problem is I worked too much on the writing to try and like think, okay, I've got to use this specific words. I've got to replace these specific words. I've got to draw things out longer. And then, because I was expecting it, like, in elementary school through middle school, the papers were getting longer and longer and longer. And I heard about how college papers are supposed to be really long. So I worked extra hard at writing so that way it would be easy to write long papers. Now, the papers get much didn't get much longer. 5-paragraph essays. It's like 40 sentences. Usually like 1.5 pages maybe. But my problem is I'm stuck in the mode where in the same time it takes like an average student to do like 5 paragraphs based on the teacher's judgment, I could do nearly 5 pages. Now, I've been told by many of my peers that I write too much. I write too much, like, in the paragraphs. And I know that I've been trying to cut it down, but it really helps to work on writing. Working on writing and reading is probably the most useful tool, because in chemistry, you have to write down things really quickly. You've got to write down all the formulas. You've got to write down the different molarities of things. You've got to memorize all the different formulas. Then reading makes it a lot easier to memorize, because if you like build up comprehension, it's like instead of reading like the duck was orange, you think like instead of thinking like there's a duck. The duck happens to be orange. It's like, the duck is orange. Okay, the duck is orange. It's like, except it's on a higher level. So instead of like force equals mass times acceleration, it's not like force is equivalent to mass of an object times the acceleration of that object, which would equal this. It's like, thma, force equals mass times acceleration. Just reading, building comprehension and writing skills is probably, well, at least for me, the most useful skill in high school. Comprehension and writing. Because you have to, in Washington, at Spokane at least, you have to take 2 years of languages. You have to take 2 years of arts, 3 years of science, I believe, 4 years of English, 3 years of history, 3 years of math. 4 years of math. And then, wait, is it 3 or 4? I think it's just 3. But anyways, a lot of those different things require good comprehension. Like with Spanish, it's a lot easier to if you build your comprehension, it's a lot easier to memorize the vocabulary. It's a lot easier to build knowledge on vocabulary. Now, I'm one of those weird people that I love knowledge. I love trying to learn everything I can about a particular subject. Like, I've memorized the 7 different fighting styles of the Jedi because I like Star Wars. I've memorized multiple different spells. I've memorized the lore of the Ignitus, like Ignitus Peveril and all the other Peverils. I've memorized, like, some Furbish words from the Furby Dictionary. I've learned about the different productions of Pokemon cards and how to guess a worth. I learned the whole lore behind The Legend of Zelda. Not because I was like, oh, that's cool. It's like, why not? Just learn. When you learn outside of school, it makes learning in school a lot easier. Now, when I was in like 6th grade, I started memorizing the Furbish Dictionary. I worked on my comprehension a lot, so that way I'd comprehend more information quickly. Like, hello is me a kelo, or something like that. I don't remember Furbish anymore, but when you begin comprehension at a younger age of easy stuff, like Furbish, there's not that many words. Compared to like Spanish, there's a lot of words. But when you build up comprehension, it gets better. And it makes things less stressful. The leading problem, out of what I've heard in school, is not people's intelligence levels, it's people's stress levels. It's like people getting stressed so they give up. They break down during tests. Now, I made it so that way I didn't have as many stressful things. But the way that I chose to live at home, by learning constantly and building comprehension, made it so that way it's just less stressful. Now, this could be used for everything. Like, the phrase practice makes perfect. That is incorrect. Practice makes you better each and every single time that you do it. Every single time that you read a new sentence, you're building comprehension. The duck is orange. You learned that that duck is orange. You comprehended that. And, like, that's like one of the children's book things. Like, then it's like, the pumpkin was a square. A little bit more vowels. A little bit harder. Big Bird was scared. It starts bringing in multiple different concepts. Big Bird ran away. Brings in verbs, how different things work. Then eventually it gets to estar is Spanish for to be or blah 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 blah. I believe it's to be, but my brain is dead. So it starts crossing barriers between different things. Here, just a second. I'm going to set down this cup of soap. I don't know why I have that anyways. So, when you build comprehension of basic things, it starts getting harder and harder and harder and harder. So that way, you begin to comprehend things as more of a philosophical way. It's like, a star is to be. A star. S. Is be. Then tar. AR ending. Then there's just the T in there. You begin to comprehend little things like is, AR, as in to. So it's like to is, to be. You start to build connections like that between different dimensional barriers. And the same thing happens with science too. Biology. You think, oh, biology. Logy, study. Bio, life, study of life. But then, once you start comprehending more vocabulary, once you build comprehension by learning outside of school, it's like herbology, herbs, plants, study of plants. Yes, school cannot only be worked at school. You have to build it into your normal life. Now, I understand that a lot of people can't do that. They have responsibilities. I also have responsibilities here. But the way that I do things, it's like I comprehend things. I try to learn to comprehend while taking care of responsibilities. Like I'll be having like Star Wars Theory, it's a great channel, playing on while I'm doing the dishes. Like, oh, didn't know that Maul was a translation for hammer in a different language. That's cool. Maul, Darth Maul. He's a heavy fighter, heavy like a hammer. You just build comprehension like that. You start to, like, cross different barriers. Like, when you start stuck is orange. Then it's like, Big Bird is scared. You start to grasp more humanoid concepts. Then it's like, a star is to be. S is. And you start to build the connections within your mind between two completely different things. Well, not completely different, but similar things that happen to be different, like different dimensional barriers. Is, a star, is. You start to build the barriers. You start to cross the barriers. I mean, you build comprehension. You build how fast it takes for you to connect the things. Like, you look at a logo of USSR, an example. Sickle and hammer. Work tools. Work. Probably has something to do with work. You start to build connections. You start to take things in your everyday life and you start to connect things. And then it makes it easier at school to connect things. Like Winco Foods. What could that mean? Co, like, corporation? Win? Good? Good, cool. Good foods. Corporation. Good Foods Corporation. Saying self-promoting. Amazon Prime. Prime. Like, one. Or good. It's saying it's like good Amazon. You just build connections like that at home. You build the different levels of comprehension based from auditory and text. And eventually, you'll be able to start doing more things mentally. Like, like, if you take time to think of the process, like, oh, my friend is crying, tears. Tears are sad. That's sort of slow. But once you build comprehension, it's like, tears, she's sad, I've got to go help. Or, he just fell over, is he alright? I need to go help. Oh no, I spilled water, I need to go clean that up. You start to build things a lot more quickly, and you start to have quicker reflexes. And so, when you're building the things, you get better reflexes and everything gets faster, everything gets easier, everything gets lighter. And school is the same way. If you build up and you learn, you become more powerful. If you practice one kick a million times, you're going to be great at that fucking kick. But if you take every process of learning the kick every single time, it's not gonna do it. You've gotta train yourself to think less. Well, think more, think quickly. Instead of thinking, okay, I've got to push my knee back, going to stand in position, I'm going to extend my leg, and I'm going to hit that target with a little bit of force. Instead of thinking it becomes more fluent. Now, my battery's starting to get pretty low, but I cannot stress enough. Comprehension is everything. Planning is everything. Knowledge is power.